Members of Congress, I have the distinct honor and privilege to introduce the President of the United States.
Oh God, the teleprompter is not working. What do we do? He didn't want the earpiece. What is he going to say?
Gee, it's great. After being out late, walking my baby back home, arm in arm over meadow and farm, walking my baby back home. We go along harmonizing a song, or I'm reciting a poem. Owls go by and give me the eye, walking my baby back home. We stop for a while. She gives me a smile, then rests her head on my chest. We start into pet, and that's when I get her talcum all over my vest. Her talcum all over my vest. After I kind of straighten my tie, she has to borrow my comb. One kiss, and we continue again, walking my baby back home. She's afraid of the dark, and so I have to park outside of her door till it's light. She says if I try to kiss her, she'll cry. I dry her tears all through the night. I dry her tears all through the night. Hand in hand to a barbecue stand, right from her doorways we roam. Eats, then I continue again, walking my baby, talking my baby, loving my baby. I don't mean maybe. Walking my baby back home.
Good afternoon. Before we begin our press conference, I feel a need to set a few boundaries concerning our focus. I would appreciate if all questions be directed to the President's State of the Union address. Some of you are concerned about the President's lack of response in his address to health care, immigration, fear of war, the environment, and the nation's recent key lime pie shortage. I assure you the President is indeed working with his staff to address these important issues, including new data concerning COVID lockdowns. Deodorant sales have declined, but ice cream sales have soared. Thank you. Let's begin. Sarah.
The President, referred to the person he is walking back home as baby. Could this be considered by some to be a sexist term?
I believe the President used the word baby to simply indicate affection towards the person he was walking with. As you may know, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, it was in the 17th century that baby was first used as a romantic term of endearment. In Afraban's 1694 novel, Love Letters Between a Nobleman and His Sister, Philander, the male hero, declares himself not able to support the thought that anything should afflict my lovely baby, unquote. Also, I'm sure that you know many languages have similar terms to show affection, from the French bébé to the Chinese bao bei. Stuart.
The president's repeated use of the word walk-in. Is the president's choice of mobility here due to the rise of gas prices or the deterioration of roads and infrastructure in our cities? And also, does the mention of meadow and farm signal an avoidance of urban references? Perhaps could be interpreted to mean that it is no longer safe to walk one's baby back home in an urban setting.
I believe the president's use of the term walking goes hand in hand with his physical fitness program to the nation. Walking, as he emphasized earlier in his term, helps reduce the heart rate and burn calories and improve mood, among other things. The president is on record saying that walking at a moderate pace for 30 to 45 minutes results in a 43% decrease in sick days, which amplifies his concern for the workers of our nation. As for farm and meadow, the president is very aware that farm debt at $419 billion is at an all-time high, and he just wanted to remind the farmers in his speech that he is aware of their struggles. As for safety in urban areas, the president has consistently echoed the words of Petula Clark, sung over 50 years ago. When you're alone and life is making you lonely, you can always go downtown. Kristen?
I would like to address the term pet and talcum powder.
The president was simply using a term, pet, as to indicate caressing in a gentle way, as one would pet a dog. Not implying the woman he is walking with is a dog. It was an expression of endearment. In Persia, for instance, calling one's significant other jiger talo is a term of endearment. The subtext of the president's message, I believe, is his increased awareness of improvement with Iran.
So what about the talcum powder? I mean, is the president simply ignoring the data that talcum powder is known to be carcinogenic?
The talcum powder the president referred to is asbestos-free and therefore safe. You may recall that LeBron James has been known to clap his hands with non-asbestos talcum powder before games. Yes, Marvin.
I was curious why the president included in his address the phrase, "She has to borrow my comb." Is there a giraffe in the room, an obvious issue that's being ignored?
Excuse me, do you mean elephant or gorilla in the room?
No. In the spirit of inclusivity, I use giraffe. Giraffes have been, in my opinion, marginalized whenever this phrase is used in codified social interactions.
The president is not in favor of marginalizing wildlife of any kind. You may recall he used the phrase, "owl gives me the eye," in his address. He was wanting to remind us all to honor the Endangered Species Act and the continued banning of dangerous pesticides that threaten any of the 19 owl species found in the United States. The president has shared with me that including an owl in his address was a bit of a hoot, which only confirms to me that our president has not lost his sense of humor amid all the problems we face as a nation.
What about the sharing of a comb? It has been noted that the sharing of a comb can result in ringworm fungus, live parasites, and in some cases a staph infection.
I can assure you the president does not have scabies. As a side note, termites chew through wood twice as quickly when they are exposed to rock music. Harold!
If you could please comment on the president's words, "She's afraid of the dark, so I have to park outside of her door till it's light. She says if I try to kiss her, she'll cry. I dry her tears all through the night." Is there any implication here of stalking? I mean, parking outside of her door till it's light. Also, if I try to kiss her, she'll cry. This could be interpreted as a violation of a person's free will. Would you care to qualify this?
The president parking outside the home of his said baby is in his role as protector. Similarly, as our president also watches over our nation through many long nights of threats at home and abroad. Regarding the kiss and free will response, Baby, in this instance, can only respond of her own free will if she is the ultimate source of her act. On the other hand, the president is a determinist who believes that no one is the absolute source of their actions. Therefore, if determinism is true, no one, and in this particular case, Baby, can act of their own free will. She must kiss the president. For the same reason, there are no seagulls in Hawaii. Sarah?
I would like to address the barbecue stand. There is no indication as to what kind of barbecue this is. Kansas, Carolina, Memphis, or Texas? Or is this perhaps an example of cultural appropriation of a Korean barbecue business being run by non-Korean owners?
The president believes in cultural appreciation, not cultural appropriation. I can testify of his commitment to this. The president shared with me his fondness for a hot dog stand not far from the White House, owned by a man who is 30% Polish, 25% Indonesian, and a 35% mixture of Swiss, Native American, and Icelandic Haitian. Regarding Korean barbecue, to keep the diplomatic lines of communication open, the president occasionally contacts Kim Jong-un regarding the right amount of spice used in gochujang, semjang, and doenjang sauces when marinating beef bulgogi. These sauces may be used with tofu and eggplant dishes for the some 7.3 million vegetarians in our nation that the president has not forgotten. The president also shares his mother's crumb cake recipe with the North Korea leader. It's a small but meaningful step towards restoring peace and stability between our two nations. The praying mantis is the only insect that can turn its head. A group of lizards is called a lounge. I'll take 2 more questions. Stuart.
The ancient Romans left graffiti on pyramids that said, "I can't read the hieroglyphs." Isn't that much like the president's speech or this press conference? The American people feel that your administration speaks in hieroglyphs.
Hieroglyphs use images and pictures to convey meaning. For instance, the president's speech is a perfect example of the metaphor of walking his baby, perhaps in this case our nation, back home, back to our foundations of love for our neighbor, respect for tradition and hard work, a plea for unity, a sacrifice of time and effort and generosity towards the benefit of the common good of all. The president is seeking to communicate a positive message. I'm sorry to have to say this. Some of you members of the press are very negative. The president is trying to be positive. Take Stalin, for example. I know he killed millions and millions of innocent people, ruled with fear, made people slaves of the state, but he tried to keep things upbeat. He even went so far as banning the reading of Hamlet. And sometimes, perhaps banning certain literature in some cases is a good idea. Gets us on the same page. Stalin said Hamlet was too negative, indecisive, depressed. The prince had no spirit of optimism, courage, and confidence. Stalin was saying to his nation, get with the program. Stalin was a monster, but he tried to stay perky. It's a perky people that makes a more perfect union.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. Are you all right? Are you comparing the president to Stalin? We're the press. We're not being negative. It's our job to get to the truth.
Truth? What truth? It's all just high-tech hieroglyphics. The whole thing is bullshit. All of it. The president's speech, these press conferences. Nobody in government tells you the truth. Power and control, that's what it's all about. What's good for the goose step is good for the propaganda. It's Googles without the schnitzel. We're drowning in the absence of water. We're ciphers. We're becoming ciphers. It's mass chloroformity. You want truth and transparency? Okay. The president is not the only one walking his baby back home. My husband is walking his baby back home too. Linda, his secretary, that's his new baby. I had them followed. I got news for you, Mel. Nobody cheats on me and lives. You piece of shit. I'm going gulag on you, baby. You know what else? I got a boil on my ass that's killing me. I'm going to have to miss my belly dance class tonight. Oh! There are no seagulls in Hawaii. I hope that answers your question, Stuart. I think we can have one more question. It doesn't have to be about the president's address. Oh, Kristen?
When do you think the key lime pie shortage will end?
I don't know, Kristen, but I will get you that information and follow up with a more complete answer. I will say this. Unlike Stalin, the president is fond of Hamlet. He refers to the words of the Danish prince. Doubt thou the stars are fire. Doubt that the sun doth move. Doubt truth to be a liar. To which the president adds concerning the key lime pie scarcity, but doubt not from this tangy deprivation how I shall bring sweet reprieve to an embittered nation. Thank you. There are no seagulls in Hawaii.